try to give myself grace. Everybody says give yourself grace. It's so hard for me to do that. At the end of the day, it's my fault, and I let everybody down.
Picture this. One of the most dominant centers in WNBA history, sitting on the bench with tears streaming down her face, watching her championship dreams crumble before her eyes. Brittney Griner, the woman who once struck fear into every opponent who dared step into the paint, was broken. Completely and utterly broken. And the player...
And Mitchell's been quiet for a while. Not anymore. Look, in Canada with another assist. A big bounce-back night for her. Mitchell dribbles behind the line to take the three. Howard with the one.
Responsible for her destruction? A rising star named Aliyah Boston, who just announced to the entire basketball world that there's a new sheriff in town. I try to give myself grace. Griner sobbed through tears that couldn't hide her devastation. Everybody says give yourself grace. It's so hard for me to do that.
For game 2 on Tuesday, just how does that carry over into tonight?
Well, I think anytime that you're a win or go home situation, there's desperation. And so it has to carry over. You know, we're in the same situation. Our back is against the wall. We got to come out and we've got to play with that sense of urgency. We've got to play with that hunger. We've got to value.
At the end of the day, it's my fault, and I let everybody down. These weren't just words from a disappointed athlete. This was the sound of an era ending, right there in front of our eyes. What we witnessed wasn't just another playoff upset. This was the Indiana Fever, missing 6 crucial players, including superstar Caitlin Clark, somehow managing to storm into the WNBA semifinals for the first time since 2015. Analysts across the league were left speechless. ESPN's talking heads were scrambling for explanations. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this coming. How does a team that's basically running on fumes...
This is just 4 of 16 from the floor in game 2. That's terrific. Paul into Boston. Beautiful.
And prayer managed to dismantle one of the league's most talented rosters? How does a franchise that hadn't won a playoff series in nearly a decade suddenly look unstoppable? The answer lies in one of the most dramatic individual battles the WNBA has ever seen, and a complete organizational meltdown that exposed just how quickly dynasties can fall apart. Let's rewind and understand just how impossible this victory should have been. The Indiana Fever walked into Game 3 in Atlanta carrying more injuries than a MASH unit. 6 rotation players.
I don't think I've really gotten through all the way that I didn't let down, you know, everybody in my family. And it was just, I think I'm still trying to like get through that part.
We're sitting in street clothes, watching from the sidelines. Caitlin Clark, the Rook, a sensation who had been carrying this franchise all season long, was out. Sophie Cunningham, their energy spark off the bench, sidelined. Sydney Colson, Chloe Baby, Ari McDonald, Darius Dantas, all unavailable when their team needed them most. Head coach Stephanie White was essentially playing chess with half her pieces missing from the board. This wasn't just about losing depth.
Still to this day. I try to give myself grace. Everybody says give yourself grace. It's so hard for me to do that. At the end of the day, it's my fault, and I let everybody down.
Their game plans had to be thrown out the window. The offensive sets they'd been running all season? Gone. The defensive rotations they'd perfected? Useless. Everything that had made the Fever competitive during the regular season was suddenly irrelevant. To put this in perspective, the last time Indiana won a playoff series, Tamika Catchings was still anchoring their defense, and Stephanie White was coaching them to a finals appearance from the other side. That's how long this drought had lasted. Fever fans had grown accustomed to early exits, rebuilding talks, and promises of next year. The franchise had become a cautionary tale about how quickly success can disappear in professional sports. But here's where the story gets absolutely wild. Instead of folding under the pressure, Instead of using injuries as an excuse, the Fever somehow found a way to play their most complete team basketball of the entire season. And at the center of this miracle run was a young center who was about to deliver the most devastating individual performance of the playoffs. For years, Brittney Griner had been the undisputed queen of the paint. When playoff time rolled around, she was the player defenses feared most. Her combination of length, athleticism, and basketball IQ had terrorized opponents for over a decade. She could protect the rim like a fortress wall, then turn around and punish smaller defenders with an array of post moves that seemed impossible to stop. Double teams? She'd find the open team. Mate. Single coverage? Good luck stopping 7 feet of pure basketball talent. But something was different in this series. Something was fundamentally wrong with the player who had dominated playoff basketball for so long. In Game 2, Griner shot a devastating 4 for 16 from the field. 4 for 16. Those aren't just bad numbers for a player of her caliber. They're historically awful. And when Game 3 arrived, when the Atlanta Dream needed their franchise cornerstone most, their coach made a decision that sent shockwaves through the basketball world. Brittney Griner was benched during an elimination game. Let that sink in for a moment. The face of Atlanta's franchise, sitting on the sideline while her team fought for their playoff lives. This wasn't a strategic rest or a brief timeout. This was a coach losing complete faith in a player who had carried his team for years. While Griner was collecting splinters on the bench, Aliyah Boston was putting together a masterclass in playoff basketball. 14 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, numbers that tell only part of the story. Boston didn't just outplay Griner. She completely dismantled everything that had made the veteran center great. Every move Griner tried to make, Boston had an answer for. Every spot on the floor where Griner felt comfortable, Boston took away with perfect positioning and disciplined defense. But the defining moment came with 4 seconds left on the clock and the game hanging in the balance. Boston got position in the post, received a perfect pass from Odyssey Sims, and calmly laid the ball in to give Indiana the lead. As the shot went through the net, you could see Griner on the bench, her head in her hands, knowing that her playoff hopes had just evaporated. The torch wasn't just being passed. It was being ripped away by a player who refused to be intimidated by reputation or legacy. Boston's defensive approach was a thing of beauty. She didn't chase blocks or try to embarrass Griner with spectacular plays. Instead, she used pure basketball intelligence, positioning her body to force difficult shots and staying disciplined when Griner tried to back her down. By the third quarter, you could see the frustration building in Griner's face. Shots that had been automatic for years were suddenly clanging off the rim. The comfort zone that had been her playground was completely taken away. The numbers tell the story of a changing of the guard. Griner's career playoff averages showed consistent double-digit scoring with high efficiency. In this series, she posted career lows across the board. 2 points and 2 rebounds in one game, barely cracking the box score when her team needed her most. Meanwhile, Boston wasn't just scoring and rebounding. She was creating for teammates with 6 assists, showing a complete skill set that Griner had never possessed. But Boston's brilliance was only part of Indiana's incredible story. This victory required contributions from players who had no business being playoff heroes. Kelsey Mitchell stepped up like a true superstar, dropping 24 points, including a scorching 19 in the first half that kept the Fever within striking distance when the game could have easily spiraled out of control. Without Mitchell's ability to create her own shot and find space in crowded lanes, Indiana wouldn't have been close enough for the late-game drama. Then there's Odyssey Sims, a hardship contract signing who suddenly found herself as one of the most important players on the floor in a knockout game. 16 points and 8 assists from someone who had barely been with the team long enough to learn everyone's names. but it was that crucial pass to Boston in the final seconds that will be remembered forever. No panic, no hesitation, just pure composure when the season was on the line. The role players stepped up in ways that seemed impossible. Lexie Hull made perhaps the biggest defensive play of the night, reading Ryan H. Oward's inbound pass perfectly with 4 seconds left and stealing the ball to seal the victory. That single play erased any chance of Atlanta's miracle comeback and sent the Fever to the semifinals. Brianna Turner provided the toughness and defensive positioning that neutralized Atlanta's length advantage. Natasha Howard chipped in with the little plays that don't show up in highlight reels, but win playoff games. What made this run even more remarkable was the energy from the players who couldn't even suit up. Caitlin Clark was on the bench in her black Air Force Ones, which Fever fans immediately dubbed a good luck charm, cheering and coaching from the sidelines. Sophie Cunningham acted like an additional assistant coach, and Chloe Baby was in every huddle providing veteran leadership. They created a sixth-man atmosphere that gave their teammates extra juice during the most crucial moments. This wasn't a victory built around one superstar carrying everyone else. This was layered basketball, with every player accepting their role and stepping into their moment when it mattered most. It was the kind of complete team win that championship runs are built on. But now comes the ultimate test. Indiana's reward for knocking off Atlanta is a date with the two-time defending champion Las Vegas Aces, a team that has been running the league with ruthless efficiency. This isn't Atlanta's young, inconsistent roster anymore. This is A'ja Wilson, already being mentioned among the greatest forwards in WNBA history. This is Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and Chelsea Gray, players who know how to close out games and don't flinch under pressure. Wilson just dropped 38 points against Seattle with the season on the line, then watched Jackie Young hit the game winner with 12 seconds left. That's the level of clutch performance Indiana will be facing. Every mistake will be punished. Every lapse in concentration will be exploited. Aliyah Boston has been sensational, but A'ja Wilson represents her toughest test yet. Wilson isn't just a scorer. She's versatile enough to guard multiple positions while dominating the glass and protecting the rim. The paint battle between these two players will likely determine the entire series outcome. Kelsey Mitchell's shot-making becomes even more critical against Vegas's suffocating defense. She can't afford empty possessions against a team that converts every opportunity into easy points. Odyssey Sims will face the fastest rotating defenders in the league, trying to create windows that might not exist. Aces coach Becky Hammon already issued her warning. They haven't seen the real Aces yet. That wasn't trash talk. That was a promise. Indiana will have to prove that their resilience extends beyond one magical round, that their heart can overcome championship-level talent and experience. What we witnessed in Atlanta was more than just an upset. It was Aliyah Boston announcing herself as the future of the position, while Brittney Griner's championship window appeared to slam shut. It was proof that team chemistry and collective effort can overcome individual talent and depth advantages. It was the Indiana Fever laying the foundation for what could become a dynasty in the making. Think about this. If they can win a playoff series missing half their roster, what happens when Caitlin Clark and the others return healthy in 2026? What happens when this core group gets a full season to develop together? We might be watching the very beginning of something special taking shape in Indianapolis. But first, they have to survive Las Vegas. They have to prove that Friday night wasn't just a beautiful story, but the start of something bigger. The question isn't whether they can compete with the Aces. It's whether they're ready to take the crown from the defending champions. Is this really the end of Brittney Griner's dominance? Can Indiana's miracle run continue against the league's best team? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button. If you think we just witnessed a changing of the guard, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because this playoff run is far from over.